It's a brand new season of GT Asia for 2016. 6 rounds at iconic racetracks across the region, and it all starts here at Korea International Circuit for rounds 1 and 2. Hey everyone, welcome to Fox Sports coverage of GT Asia 2016. Jonathan Green and Steve Martin bringing you the action from the first round of the Korea International Circuit from John Nam, a former Formula One circuit, Steve, and in many ways the perfect place to kick off.
Well, it certainly is. I mean, it's an exciting track. I've been out and had a bit of a look at it, and there's a little bit for everyone out there, Jonathan. We've got the long straights of the first third of the track, but the back section is tight and twisty. So the two different types of cars, a car with a lot of downforce is probably going to struggle in the first part, but it can make it up in the back section. It's going to be really difficult to set your car up for this circuit to make it fast and get that quick lap time.
What I like about this series is that GT racing the world over is growing in prominence everywhere you go, but especially here we've got all the state-of-the-art cars on display for Asia.
Yeah, we've got V10s, we've got V8s, we've got flat sixes, we've got turbo cars, we've got everything, Lamborghinis, we've got all the new models here and all the top drives as well. So I'm really excited to see, who can come out in front after this round.
And quite a few challenges also for this year because even the champions changed cars this year.
Yeah, Daryl O'Young, the last year's drivers champion, of course, won in the Aston Martin last year. That team now, the Bamboo Craft team, has gone across to Porsche. So, there's a lot of different things in play there.
Well, let's take a closer look at some of these cars, and who better than Fox's own Alex Young, who is driving this year with Audi. Well, one man I'm looking forward to working with in GT Asia this year, of course, is Alex Young, who's got a lot of background with both Fox and, of course, GT Asia. Alex, why don't you tell us what you're racing this year and what we're about to see?
Well, thanks, Johnny. Well, it's not a Formula One car. It is a GT3 car. And Audi's brought out a brand new GT3 car for this year. It's got a lot more downforce than the old car. It looks really aggressive. You see the aero kit on the car. It's pretty nice. Now, these GT3 cars are pretty fast. We do about 260 kilometers per hour down the straight. And it's got, obviously, the full racing setup with the car, racing brakes, slick tires. And with the aerodynamics in this car, we're seeing almost 3 Gs through the corners, so it's a pretty quick car. So the back of the car, it's got a 5.2-liter V10, producing about 550 horsepower. Obviously depends on the restrictor because there is a balanced performance with these cars, so they can make the restrictor a bit smaller to kind of handicap the cars that are going a little bit too fast. Currently we're running a 38mm restrictor in the car, so maybe a little bit less, maybe about 520 horse at the moment. Now the rear wing's a beauty. It's adjustable, so on a circuit like here where there's got quite a lot of fast corners, we might actually crank up the wing quite a bit for those fast corners, gives us a little bit extra downforce at the rear. Now, but however, we have got a long straight here at Korea, so with that long straight, then we have to kind of balance that off a bit, so we might not quite run full wing. So as you can see, this is a proper race car. There's no passenger seat here, there's no aircon, there's no radio. All the stuff that makes the car heavy that we don't need in a race car has been taken out. So it's really the bare minimum. And of course the steering wheel. Now the steering wheel is like a Formula One car. It's got all the dials and bits on it. You've got engine mapping, traction control, ABS, radio, little flasher to flash the cars in front, even the start buttons on the steering wheel. So it's a proper steering wheel. This is to change the gears up and down. And of course we even got the clutch on the steering wheel, which is just like a Formula One car. So if you want to watch us, catch us on GT Asia on Fox Sports.
There were several new cars on display and several new driver lineup combinations. 2016 is one of the most open fields in the 6-year history of the series. The drivers and teams had 2 full days testing here in Korea before turning a wheel in anger to dial themselves in for the race weekend ahead.
I think the new car had been upgraded certain of levels, and compared to the old car, the new car is more direct on the pure racing car. We built in much better ABS, much better traction control, and for drivers to driving in the more high downforce car, so we can attack more on the high-speed corner compared to the new old car.
Yeah, definitely the competition is always good. That's a fact for sure. But Craft Bamboo Racing are preparing the car really well. But of course we made a switch to Porsche this year, so that's the biggest change because there's a lot to learn, a lot to adapt. I know of course Porsche has such a history of winning, and we want to continue the winning ways for Porsche.
The engineers have got a lot more to look at because we're looking at springs, dampers, the aero, everything, brakes, everything's a new thing for us to look at and analyse to make sure that we're getting the best from it. At the moment, I would say we're getting fairly well on top of it.
Coming off from last year, a bit more experience and know a bit more what to expect from this year. So hopefully all the right pieces will come together this year and we can win the championship.
I'm super stoked to come to Asia. I haven't driven a lot here. One race in Sepang earlier this year, but it's really good to have continuity this year, running in Pirelli World Challenge in the Bentley with Absolute over there, then coming here and having a good relationship already with all the mechanics, the other drivers. So I'm excited to get to work here and hopefully get some more wins.
It's certainly going to be an interesting series ahead, and what a group of drivers we've got, from ex-Formula One drivers to young up-and-comers.
Yeah, we certainly have, but it's about the cars, Jonathan. I mean, we've got Bentleys up the front, we've got the new Porsches up there as well. It's going to be an exciting race. Watch out also for the Lamborghini. I mean, that has showed some true pace.
Yeah, the new Lamborghini on the front row with the two young Italians. It's going to be interesting, but it's Adelaide Fong in pole position for the first race. Behind me is the start grid, somewhat the calm before the storm. Here's the highlights of race 1. With the 5-minute board awaiting the start of the first round of the series from Gangnam in Korea. Jonathan Green here, and as we take a look at the circuit for the first time, this of course a former Formula One circuit, 5.6 kilometers in length, 18 corners, tricky, very narrow in places, but as we said, a Formula One spec circuit, so perfect really for these beautiful GT3 cars. Well, they are lined up, but the yellow flag's still being waved, but there's still time. And the lights do go out, and away we go. And it's side by side at the moment as we head down towards the first corner. The Bentley's got the better line, but will the two Italian entries get through? But they don't, and second place, and Bentley lead the race now with Adelaide Fong.
Yeah, Adelaide Fong definitely had a great inside line there.
But here comes Richard Lyons.
Whoa.
Wow, what a start by the Porsche.
Well, he certainly knew how to warm his tyres up, Jonathan, because he did get up the inside and straight to the front. He's been fast all weekend in that Porsche. Brand new, that car this year. Brand new. They didn't even get it until last Monday.
So they dive into turn 3 for the first time, and crash! And that's involving one of the Bentleys and the Lamborghini, but it looks as though the Lamborghini's come off worse, but everybody going wide, several cars including.
That's looked like part of the back of the Bentley that fell off, and that will really hurt.
And damage to the Lamborghini as well on the front, in fact.
That's really going to hurt, because that's part of the aero package from underneath the car, which is definitely going to affect the lap times. The aero is so important on this circuit. But look at the gap that Richard Lyons has pulled out already in the number 88 into Russian Porsche.
There is his teammate in the centre of the shot there. And the girl to the left not so interested in the noise, but across the line they come then, and it is Richard Lyons who leads this race. His first lap at 2:13.9, but Bentley in close pursuit with Adelaide Fong.
Look at the front of the
And
look
what
at
a
the
mess
front.
to that poor Lamborghini.
He's still holding it together.
Looks as though he's been in a hurricane, never mind being one.
Yeah, that's the whole bonnet that we saw off the front of that thing. The whole bonnet.
He hit the back of the Bentley, and it was funny, wasn't it? The Italians were joking about it this morning, about the fact that they couldn't really push past the Bentleys if they got in trouble because of the front of the car. And now we're seeing the damage to it. So joking aside, there is things flapping around on the inside. It's distracting for a driver. Well, to drive in these conditions. And, of course, the aerodynamics completely out of the window now. We take a look at the restart again. This is how they started, and they were side by side at the beginning. The Bentley just holding position. And this was where Richard Lyons looked so aggressive early on, got up to third place immediately into the first corner, and then sided his way into second, literally at the second corner. And then by the time they got to the third, and that was the moment of impact, Lamborghini and the Bentley coming together. And to be fair to Adelaide Fong, he had nothing to do with that.
No.
Well, it's So Young that's getting edgy at the moment, our current champion. He's just lost a spot to Carlo Van Dam. You can see it for yourself. Carlo ahead there in the Singer Ferrari, and yeah, good overtake, and now he's under pressure from Thong just behind in the all-gold brand new Audi, and then it's the Ferrari of Davide Rizzo, and of course Davide Rizzo and Anthony Liu got the best record of all here. They've won 3 out of the 4 races held.
Oh, no!
Oh, absolute disaster for the Interrush team as Richard Lyons has parked it and crashed the car here in race 1 of the 2016 series. I cannot believe it. They had bad luck last year, they had bad luck in qualifying, and now, of all people, one of the most consistent drivers in Asia has thrown it away in the very opening few minutes of race 1 is over.
No.
And it looks as though they've come together with a Lamborghini because the doors are off. What a terrible sight to see this beautiful brand new Huracan in a mess, and there is the reaction of Frank Yu.
Yeah, he is not
Garage
happy.
is almost cleared already, and here comes the Ferrari.
Yeah, look at that. He's got a good slipstream past the R8 Audi as well. But look at the Audi under brakes, takes that position back. Nice move there. Yeah, the 488, of course, the Ferrari this year, brand new. First time that a Ferrari's had twin turbochargers fitted to it. They've gone for a little bit smaller motor compared to the 458. And of course, the big thing with these cars, Jonathan, is they're capped to around 500, 600 horsepower. Look at the Audi, really fighting for position now, but he's run wide.
Yeah, I mean, Sean Thong's done a very good job, and he's continuing to do so because he's holding off Davide, who's a very aggressive driver. And these are very, very expensive cars to be playing bumper cars with, for sure. But Sean Thong is not to be denied, and this is a very, very strident drive by him as they dive through the right-hander on one of the fastest sections of this circuit. That's where Frank Yu went off earlier, and he goes very wide again. And a lot of pressure from the number 37.
You just can't find a way through because Thong is driving very, very
defensively, brilliantly, yeah. And yeah, like you say, you'd think down that long straight with a bit of a slipstream that the Ferrari, which is well known for its top-end power, is Sean Thong goes
really
wide again, and now he comes up.
No, but he's on the inside.
Rizzo's got him this time.
Okay, of course, Rizzo is used to winning here, isn't he? He's won here a few times. He doesn't want to finish where he is at the moment. He's working his way up through the pack.
And I've watched Rizzo over the years. He's one of the most aggressive drivers. If you see him, having to side his way through, you know, that's why I'm so impressed with what Thong's done, because he must know his history. He must have watched some of the races, and another car going wide. Is that Alex Young?
That was one of the Audis. I think
it was.
Yeah, that was Alex.
So then, the pit stops are changing over. We'll get back and shuffle the order, but it is Thong leading from Venter. Those two have now come in, and it'll be Kim and Sauer that will pick up the pace. Keta Sauer now on track, and here comes, for the first time, Andrew Kim. What a moment for the number 8 Bentley. Racing at home.
Kim has done a fantastic outlap. He's really kept the pressure piled on. That is a long, long straight, isn't it?
Yeah, it's over a kilometre. It's very long indeed. And the Singer number 12. Just going away. I thought he'd got everything right, and then blown at the last minute. That was bit on back. Pity getting that wrong, and loses out to the Audi.
Oh, great move there by Marchie Lee.
Engineers. That was a big moment.
That's wide.
Well, that has changed the race, because now he's got the Delango. He's got the Delango Racing Malagamua just behind him, but he's got past him. But that was a big mistake by the number 7, Andrew Kim, the leader of this race. He's got past Delantha, but now, as you can see, Keta Sauer is on the march. He gets past Malagamua. Here's the mistake. And I think he got unsighted by the slower Lamborghini. 10 minutes to go, and it's going to be enthralling. Go on, Andrew. Hold him off. Sauer looks up the inside at 3. He's got him this time.
Yeah, he's got it this time. He's held it, and that's it. He's through. Nice, clean move. Used the slipstream. Got up the inside of Kim, and nice, clean move for Sauer.
Here comes Keta Sauer. The Japanese comes out of the last corner, and he will take the checkered flag. And there it is to win race 1. Keta Sauer wins in Korea. In second place, a brilliant drive from the rookie from Seoul, Korea, Andrew Kim, to take second place. Confirmation then of the result after 28 laps. Venter and Sauer, your winners for Bentley. Bentley 1-2 with Thong and Kim. Ferrari 3rd and 4th with Rizzo and Liu. And Van Dam and Biram Bhakti in 4th position.
That's always the best moment, Jonathan.
So confirmation of the championship points after the first race of the year. Venter and Sauer out front with 18. Adelaide, Thong and Kim right there, just 2 points behind. A great start for Absolute Bentley. And Rizzo and Liu with 14. And then Biram Bhakti and Carlo Van Dam, Marchie Lee and Sean Thong. Great race from Sean Thong. What a debut he made. So the question remains, can Bentley do it again? It's going to be hard. The conditions again set fair as we're live from the Korea International Circuit for the second race of the 2016 GT Asia Series. It's been a fantastic weekend of racing, a superb crowd gathered here. The Korean fans really enjoying this spectacle, a lot of different categories as well as the GT Asia on display. And look at this fantastic circuit and the view we've got here high above the Korea International Circuit. This Korea circuit used, of course, back in 2010 for several Formula One races over the years. Sebastian Vettel made this his home very much, but now can this man, Marchi Lee, in the Audi, do something special? He lines up in pole position with Sean Thong, and Marchi, desperate almost. The Hong Kong driver, probably one of the most accomplished drivers in GT Asia, looking to try to get that win. We had a fantastic opening ceremony with so much pomp and circumstance, and the locals really enjoying putting on a show as the Ferrari, the brand new Ferrari 488 gets ready. There's the Bentley, the winner of the first race, and Keita Sauer and Jonathan Venter line up in third position. Well, Steve Martin alongside me. Again, I just wonder, as we look at the winners of the first race, what will be? Because we had so many incidents in the first one, and it was just the perfect start.
Yeah, we did. We saw a lot of different things happen throughout the weekend. One of the cars didn't even make it to the grid. One of the Bentleys, of course, had an engine failure early in the weekend, and that was the car of Andrew Palmer and also Vutikorn. Now, they had to fly an engine in, Jonathan, from Silverstone in England.
That's a long way.
It's a very long way, and that engine arrived last night at midnight. The team have been up all night fitting the engine to that car, and even though that they haven't qualified, they've been able to start this race on the back of the grid. There's been other stories in the pit as well. Of course, we saw some incidences yesterday. The Interrush Porsche with Richard Lyon crashed out after being hit by the Triple F Hurricane, Lamborghini,
yeah.
Of course. So both of those cars have been fairly heavily damaged, but both of the teams, even though it's early in the year, have been able to scrounge up enough spare parts to get both of those cars back out on track. Of course, Richard Lyons himself suffered a slight sore wrist in that incident, but he assures us he will be fine for the race today.
Yeah, I spoke to Richard on the grid earlier during the opening ceremony, and showing no signs of any ill from yesterday. And certainly, I think he's going to be riled up, if you will, to go for it, the Northern Irishman.
In the case of the Lamborghini, they also had to really do some makeshift repairs, because if you remember yesterday, the door came off of the car and they had to just basically stick it in place.
Well, here's a look at the circuit, the 5.6 kilometre circuit. It's a long circuit for any modern circuit, 18 corners in all, and that massive long straight after turn one of over a kilometre, and two big straights here, and then a twisty technical section at the back that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, it's absolutely. It's a racetrack of three different parts. The first sector, of course, this track is split into three sectors. The first sector is pretty much a drag strip from the start line down to turn 1 and 2 and into 3, one of the longest straights of any track that we go to, over a kilometre long. So a car with not as much downdraft or drag is definitely going to be able to make advantage there. The second sector, of course, is an area where the car can carry a lot of G-force, and so you need a car with a lot of downforce. So a car with a good downforce package like the Audi can be very quick through that part of the circuit. In the last part, you need a car with good acceleration and good braking capability, and that's Bentley territory.
Great grandstand. It's a huge grandstand, but a lot of crowd here, and they were getting into it during the opening ceremony for sure. Got a quick glimpse there. That's Davide Rizzo in the Ferrari pit as Anthony Liu, his teammate, will do the first stint. And just to explain, there are two stints, of course, two drivers to each car, and we have a 60-minute rolling start race. And at the 25-minute part, they will come in, and the pit window will be open, and then for the next 10 minutes they have the chance to come in and take their pit stop. It's compulsory. They have to change drivers, and they have to stay in a minimum of 85 seconds, but there are more added on depending on the grade of the driver. We'll explain that later as we go into the formation lap. I saw Alex Young there, and of course He's sitting there waiting for his stint. I don't know who gave him permission to miss Fox's coverage of Formula One later in the day. I mean, he's taking a weekend off. I'm not sure he's got permission, but there you go.
Yeah, I don't know if he thinks it's a weekend off now, but he is piloting one of the beautiful R8 LMS machines there, GT3 car that takes pole position in this race. And of course, next to him on the grid, Jonathan, another brand new car, the Ferrari 488.
So then, let's take a look at the starting grid as the green flag waves and we go on the formation lap. Everybody warming those tyres, and it's Thong and Lee and Rizzo and Liu on the front row. BBT looking for a victory. They're the most successful team here in Korea. And then it's yesterday's winners, Venter and Sauer, Thong and Kim alongside them. And watch out for that Bentley coming through. Carlo Van Dam and Bidon Bakti, Todd Pitty in 5th position, and Mock and Wee. And of course, Mock, the most successful driver, as are Clearwater Racing, his team. Daryl O'Young and another bit on Bakti. This time, Toy coming in with O'Young, Lyons and Fu, a combination that I think will come good as the season goes on. We mentioned Alex Young. He has a newcomer to the championship in Ao alongside him in 9th position. And then it's Liberati and Amici, the two men who were involved in a lot of incidents yesterday. They've been pushed right back, but can they come through? Can they hold those somewhat hot-head Italian heads of theirs and come through? We know they've got the skill for sure. We just want to see them put it into action. Great to see Tim Sugden, a former Asian champion from Great Britain here. Also like to see Ahmad Ibrahim, a former single-seater driver, coming in with a former champion of Asia, Malagamua of Sri Lanka in Delango Racing.
Not very often you get to say it, but also keep an eye on the car that's on the back of the grid. Of course, the Bentley of Andrew Palmer and Vutikorn.
Well, you know, Vutikorn, very, very strong, great driver to come through traffic. If you ever wanted somebody to come from the back, he's the kind of guy to do it. And likewise, Andrew Palmer, just a kid at 21 years of age, but racing both for Bentley here in Asia. There he is, waiting for his stint. There's Adley Fong, also waiting for him to get in the car. And Kim, who put on such a great show yesterday. But Marchie Lee has a chance to march away. I think if you were going to put your money on somebody pulling away from the front, Marchie Lee would be the man, because Marchie's been around Asian motorsport for eons in my mind. I've certainly known him since he was probably 16 years of age in karting, but he's been part of the Asian scene, and he's fast in any car you like, whether it's be a single-seater or a Porsche or any of these GT3 cars, and he has been a stalwart of the Asian Championship. And as you can see, the Adelaide Fong, I wondered why they were both out the car.
Yeah.
Fong and Kim's car is not on track. I was looking at Kim and thinking, is that really him?
Yeah,
but it is.
They've got an issue with the rear of the car. Looks like something in the driveline. Difficult to say at the moment. Definitely they're playing around with the driveline there. That is definitely not going to go well for their championship, Jonathan. Not a way to start the day.
That is the worst possible scenario, because Adley Fong and Andrew Kim, who of course is from Korea, the man from Seoul, who did his first GT3 race yesterday and now are not even on the grid. They were due to start in 4th position, so there'll be a place now, and this is a great opportunity for Mock and Wee to come through, but it's also an opportunity perhaps for Keresawa and Jonathan Venter to come across and defend in that Bentley in 3rd position. And now you see the Ferrari right there of Anthony Liu and Davide Rizzo. Liu at the wheel, and I have to say, I've just sung the praises of Marchie Lee. Well, Anthony Liu can hold his own for sure as they line up. We get into a formation lap now, and if all the cars are formed correctly in terms of how they should be on track, then the lights you'll see, the 5 lights will go out, and we will be racing here in Korea. So Marchie Lee controls the field and brings them to the line. They are out, and away we go here for race 2 of the GT Asia Championship 2016. The Bentley gets a great start, tries to sandwich himself between the 2 cars at the front, but Marchie Lee holds the lead. The Bentley goes to the inside.
So
does he get
the Ferrari.
it? Yes,
the Ferrari. They're
and
both
Marchie
wide.
Lee's messed it up, and Bentley lead.
Oh, Rizzo and Liu went wide. Liu definitely wide there, and straight into the lead for the big Bentley. Nice start for them.
Well, Marchie Lee tried to defend his position away from the Ferrari, and all it led to is him going wide, and that allowed the big bad Bentley to come through, and into the lead goes the number 8. Great start, good clean start here in GT Asia. Good start from the Ferrari, the single Ferrari getting through places, and poor old Marchi Lee is going from hero to zero. He's what, back in 5th place now?
Yeah, definitely not the start that he wanted, but good for Bentley, the number 8 car, exactly where it needs to be. And they're on a fresh set of tyres. Of course, this series, you're only allowed to have a certain amount of tyres to get through the weekend. Well, they sacrificed a set in qualifying so that they could have an extra set now, which is going to give them a bit of an advantage over some of the competitors out there with the grip.
Great start by the Italians as well. They're already up to 4th position here in the brand new Hurricane, the Lamborghini. And as they come over the hill, they are looking very strong indeed in the opening stages, but they need to, because they need a result out of this. They kind of messed up a little bit yesterday with those shenanigans and causing accidents they shouldn't have done, and they were given quite a talking to, I believe, by several different parties, including the stewards here. And now they've got to race cleanly, and they've got the Ferrari in front of them, and they've got Marchi Lee just behind them too.
Of course, Amici in that Hurricane car, a different driver to yesterday. It was Eduardo Liberati yesterday. But look at the lead that the Bentley has pulled out already. It's really a massive lead off the line on the first lap.
Kurosawa means business, and of course Bentley know that this championship is going to be...
Oh, look at that contact.
More drama for the Lamborghini.
He's
coming
through.
Together.
He's through, though, and Marchi Lee attacks back too. Marchi Lee and the Hurricane straight back through. Good manoeuvre there.
Well, that was Todd Petty getting into the wars there for a moment. But as they cross the line, look at the gap. Already 2.6 seconds for Venter and Sauer. Sauer leading the way from Anthony Liu. Amici still 3rd now. Lee drops to 4th place, but made up a place past Birombakti. And sadly, Petty dropping back a little bit. That combination of Van Dam and Petty will come into its own when Van Dam, I'm sure, hits the track.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is the thing about this championship, Jonathan. We have a pro driver and an AM driver mixed together. So some of the AM drivers are out there and some of the pro drivers are out there at the moment. And of course, those faster combinations are starting to pull away. But that doesn't mean it's necessarily going to finish that way after our pit stops, which come at about the 25 to 35 minute mark of this race.
Yeah, and for those of you coming to this for the first time, this is effectively endurance racing, but in a sprint format. So these are the cars you see doing 24 hours of Le Mans or 24 hours of Daytona.
Oh, a spin! There's a spin from the Interrush. That was you. You spun the Porsche out again. They're not having a good weekend, Jonathan.
Terrible weekend. And in fact, the combination of Richard Lyons and Frank Yu had a problematic year last year in the Aston Martin, where they just didn't seem to have the luck, and they were literally hoping that it would all turn around at the beginning of this year, and it hasn't turned out that way.
Now, Rizzo and Liu, who are in 2nd place at the moment, of course, they're doing a great job. They're very used to winning here. They've won a couple of times in the past, so sitting in 2nd position at the moment is a brilliant place to be, especially after the pit stop when Rizzo gets back in that car.
Yeah, I think both Rizzo and Liu are almost identical on pace. In fact, I'd almost argue that Anthony Liu is the faster of the two, which wasn't the case when they first partnered up a few years ago. They both based themselves in Shanghai, but they've been a potent force, especially here in Korea, winning 3 of the first 4 races held here for GT Asia, and again they're in a great position this afternoon. But look at the field spreading out now. The Bentley crosses the line. Sauer this time does a 2:08.5. He really is on the pace now. Liu does a 2:10.6.
Well, you know what? He needs to make as much ground as he can as well. Obviously, Venter and Sauer won the race yesterday, and another thing that we do in this championship is if you win the race, you get an extra 12 seconds added onto your pit time for winning the race, and that will happen race by race up to a maximum of 36 seconds. So it's imperative that he gets as big a gap as he can, so we can be assured that Kurosawa will have the pedal to the metal on that big Bentley Continental GT3.
Yeah, and I was just explaining the format earlier. This is a sprint form of endurance racing, and as you say, because of the way that it's all scheduled for the pit stops, don't think that the field spreading out means that we haven't got a close race. It could be very, very close by the time we come down to the closing 10 or 15 minutes of this race because of what you just mentioned. And so we'll keep you up to date with that. But as you say, the Bentley of Sauer acting as the hare now, trying to get ahead and trying to get a gap so that when they take their pit stop, they've got some breathing space. We've got some battles going on here. And it's the championship car, the number 91, under massive pressure at the moment from Cheng and Sun in the Audi.
And there's
they've
Al.
got the other Audi, of course, of Alex Young and out in front of them.
Yeah, Al doing a good job at the moment, just in front of the championship winning team from last year. Of course, they've changed brands. They were Aston Martin team last year. They've changed to, of course, Porsche, the new Porsche 991. Completely different Porsche to any that we've seen so far. It's a different chassis to last year. The drivers really like the way that they handle.
So the second stint drivers, including Fox's own Alex Young, getting ready to get it in the car. He was disappointed with qualifying, but happy with the race yesterday, Alex. I spoke to him, and he's always bouncing off the walls, really, when he's at a race event. He still loves it. I've known the kid since he was 16 years of age, and Alex Young still loving his racing. He's been to the very dizzy heights of Formula One. He had Mark Webber as a teammate at one point.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. And I guess the thing is that most of these drivers, of course, there's a lot of new cars in the field this year. And these cars, this is pretty much the first opportunity, the first weekend that they've been able to get a race distance under their belt, Jonathan. And with any new car, you don't really know what it's like until you get a race distance under your belt. So everyone feeling a little bit more comfortable now, and Alex Young happy to be sitting there doing that.
And also just leading up to this race, they had 2 days of testing from the start of the season. It's all talk, as everybody talking about balance of performance. And there's almost too much talk, because really what everybody wants is just to go racing. And I think the organisers have done a brilliant job in the previous year to get the balance performance perfect for this kind of racing. And what that means is that keeps the racing close and within a second, and we saw that in qualifying. And so the talking is over now, and it's time to go racing, and that's what we've got. And I think that's the perfect way to set up here, finish off career, head to Thailand.
Oh!
No! And way off goes Chen. Missed his braking point, got on the grass, and it's Sun that's gone wrong, and into 10th place. And out of 10th place, probably losing a few places there after that incident. But Sun getting it completely wrong and braking there. Just was trying a little too hard maybe to stay on the pace with the group he was with. And
yeah, he did. He just got a couple of wheels off into dirt. Well, he's running. I reckon he's got a problem. I reckon he ran wide again. He's got some sort of problem there.
That was a quick shot of our current champion, Daryl O'Young of Hong Kong and the VLT Porsche team.
Yeah, they've got a little bit of work to do with the VLT Porsche. And of course, Richards Lyons Porsche as well was involved in that big crash yesterday with the Lamborghini. So it's going to be interesting to see how that car adapts, especially when Richard gets back behind the wheel.
Well, just looking at where the pit window will be, and it has been officially given at 2:28 local time, and we're at 2:12 local time now. 51 minutes of this race to go. So we are about 20 minutes or just under to that pit stop window. And look at this, a fantastic display of racing so far from the Bentley, striding its way to perhaps a second victory here. A beautiful looking and brilliantly prepared Bentley. And Bentley now racing around the world in Europe. I saw them in the USA at the Circuit of the Americas in the hands of Adley Fong. They got a top 10 there. Andrew Palmer's been hurtling around America too in it. And now here in Asia, they're back to racing and leading the way here ahead of the brand new Ferrari. There is yesterday's winner, Jonathan Venter, another Aussie.
Yeah, he certainly is. Young Jonathan had a great win yesterday. He was emphatically happy, and you could just see the smile on his face in the press conference. Contact.
Yeah, Audi and Porsche don't go into one, but it just did.
No, something
coming out of the first turn, and a little nudge there.
Something come off the back of one of those cars as well, some sort of little aero part. So that's going to be interesting to see if that makes.
Look at this drag race.
Yeah, you're telling me that it's not even?
It's pretty even, isn't it? The Audi holds the line, though, into the right-hander, but a better turn in, though, by the Porsche as they do another drag race down towards 4.
Yeah, I mean, it's all on the line here. They'll be looking next to each other as they head down that straight, Jonathan. But the Porsche gets in front, but the Audi dips to the inside to get the better line.
And Toy Buddy on Bakhti doing a really good job.
It's not over yet, though.
It's not, is it? But look at what's hanging off the left-hand back of that Audi.
That was part of the contact from earlier on, and you can just see that. He's got to hope that that doesn't get caught in and around the wheel. Something like that can cause a puncture, so he's got to be really hopeful that that gets off the track.
Daryl O'Young trying to remain stoic as he watches on, but the emotions, I'm sure, rising higher by the minute. But the Takchun Audi with a little bit of damage, but it's not slowing down any. And I wonder if there's anything in terms of setup. That's the hard part, is when they come together like that, whether physically you can't see too much. You can see a little bit of bodywork hanging off the Audi, but that doesn't make it's really whether the wheels have been unbalanced or
absolutely
not nastily, where you could get some rubbing from bodywork onto a tire and maybe cause a puncture. And look, the Audi is slowing there, or made a mistake there. And the VLT Porsche pulling away now.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to upset the aero on these cars, and even
a right
bigger.
Smile from Alex Young. That's his car. He's got to get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And he knows that a little bit of damage to the car like that can make his day go from a good day to a hard day at work.
He likes a challenge like this, that's for sure. So then, 48 minutes of this 1 hour race. And it's race 2 of the 2016 GT Asia Championship. We welcome our live viewers across the Asian region here on Fox Sports to see some cracking GT racing at its finest. And it's Bentley of Great Britain that lead the way, the Bentley Mark, so famous in the early days of the 30s of motor racing and endurance Le Mans racing, and they're back, and back with a vengeance for sure in the last few years. And Bentley now romping around the world as they are here in Asia. The shipyards of Hyundai in the background, a fantastic sight, and it's a fantastic circuit and a place to be. We are 400 kilometers south of Seoul in Korea. Live TV here on NBC as well, and fantastic to see these cars being put through their paces.
Kitasawa at the moment 7.7 seconds in front, Jonathan, and he's just driving inch perfectly, not making a mistake, getting every apex, not letting the car slide around, conserving the tyres as well. The last thing you want to do is start spinning these things up. They do have traction control and they do have ABS, which does help these cars, but the drivers have a lot of input on that as well. They can actually turn that traction control up or turn it down as well as the ABS. So the driver is a big integral part to driving these cars nice and smooth. But he cannot afford to take it easy. He's got to get a big gap if he's going to have any chance to win this race.
Well, you know, his last lap at 2:08.2, this one at 2:08.4 as he crosses the line. So his consistency is excellent, but as you say, he's got to keep hammering around. He can't let it loose, because if he does, he's not going to get the pit window he wants, and that's coming up fairly soon. And we are almost now, contact between car 6 and car 91 under investigation. No surprise, really.
So that's, yeah, obviously the Audi and, of course, that Porsche of Daryl O'Young.
Yeah, and it was Toy Birnbachty at the wheel. And, yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see whether they do take any action or not, but we'll see. Finally, we get to see the Lamborghini, the number 55 that was in so much trouble yesterday. Heard a great story that the top brass of both Lamborghini and even Stefano Domenicali doing a conference call and kind of just saying, hey guys, calm it down, we need our car to finish.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Andrea Amici, the driver in the car at the moment,
he wasn't on the conference call.
No, he wasn't on the conference call.
He was watching.
He was saying, hey, it wasn't me. I didn't even get a chance to drive the car. The car was completely beat up before I even got in it. So he's doing good. He didn't have any experience yesterday. He's come out to start his race today, and he's running in a very good position at the moment, just behind the beautiful 488 Ferrari of Liu.
Yeah, it was Eduardo Liberati, of course, and who is the Asian champion, I may add, for the Trofeo Championship. So he knows what he's doing for sure. Both these two kids very, very quick, and that's the beauty of this championship. You've got a real cross-section of great drivers. You've got ex-Formula One drivers, you've got development drivers in the form of Adli Fong on his way up through the ranks, and then you've got the youngsters, this young Lamborghini Academy pair of drivers coming through. So Lamborghini taking this very, very serious here in the region and watching very closely at exactly what their young drivers are up to. They were watching on the live stream yesterday, and now officially under investigation, as you see.
That's Toy Birnbachty behind the wheel, of course, that incident with the R8 Audi earlier on. I mean, it's an important year for Lamborghini as well, Jonathan. Of course, that Huracan, a brand new year, it needs to be seen to be competitive. If we look at the history, the older car, the Gallardo, wasn't as competitive as it might have been for the car of the stature that it had. So this car has to come here and it has to show that it's a winning car, and that's why they've put so much effort into it and brought these younger drivers through.
You make a good point, because Lamborghini, like Porsche, have had one-make championships over the years. Now Porsche, of course, have bounced out of that from the Porsche Carrera Cup around the world and gone to Le Mans and won and continue to win in different forms, whether it be sports car racing in the United States. Whereas, as you say, Lamborghini have done one-make championships, and now they want to get on a stage against Ferrari, against Bentley. And this Huracan, there's a lot of thought, a lot of time gone into it. They're very pleased with the aerodynamic package and the speed generally of the car, and it looks good. Sometimes I've always felt that the Gallardo and some of the former Lamborghinis looked a little clunky. Didn't look as svelte, and they just didn't look as exciting on track. And it is about marketing at the end of the day. These are production cars, effectively, although the higher supercars. I remember I used to collect the trump cards.
Well, you wouldn't have seen one of these things back in those days, because these are an all new beast, Jonathan. And obviously, a lot of, as we said, a lot of effort has gone in to make this a winning team, not just by the Asian Triple F8 by ACM team here racing this weekend, but there's a lot of factory input into it as well. So a big effort put in, and the car is performing beautifully today at the moment.
Yeah, unless we forget the 488 Ferrari doing well. The 458 Ferrari was such a dominant factor throughout the world of sports car and GT racing, and now the 488 comes in, and we know it's an interesting car, though. It's quite different, very different, in fact, than what's gone before, and we'll see both in action over the years, some choosing to stay with the 458 because it's a proven commodity, but the 488 will come to fruition, but it's a very different car.
It is, of course. It's obviously got different chassis, but the biggest difference in that car, Jonathan, is its engine capacity. It's got a smaller engine, which you might think's funny, but the big thing that it has got is the nice big twin turbos. Yeah. It's the first time that Ferrari have decided.
Removal from Ferrari. It's not like them to do that, but they have done this time, and so.
And of course, the reason that they do stuff like that, Jonathan, is because a turbo car is possibly more economical. They can run it at a lower stress, and it's cheaper to run. You can see the teams now getting ready, and the drivers getting ready to head out for that pit stop.
Yep, just under 8 minutes to go as Davide Rizzo puts on the helmet, and he'll be getting in that Ferrari in a moment, and he just prepares himself, and we're getting towards that pit window here, and very much the decisive part and the key and pivotal often part of these races is that pit stop, because A, you've got to get the timing right, and B, you've got to get the tactics right for when to come in, because they will all shuffle through, and you don't want to be stuck in traffic. You don't want to get yourself behind a slower car, and that's where it gets interesting in this sprint form of GT3 racing.
Now there's the car that started from the back of the grid. They've managed to move themselves up now to a good position. They've moved up to 6th position. It's amazing when you consider that they haven't even really done any qualifying and only one practice session. These are basically their first laps on the track of the weekend.
Yeah, Palmer doing a brilliant job. Palmer and Vuticorn, and as I said, if you wanted somebody to come through, as we look at Carlo Van Dam, but Vuticorn is the man, and he's up to 6th place right now, and this has been a brilliant effort. We talked to the Bentley engineers before we left last night. We were leaving about, 7 or 8 last night, and they were still here, and when we got in this morning, we said, how long have you been here? And they said, well, we took shifts.
Oh, big slide. You can just see now that after about 20 minutes in this race, the Bentleys are starting to move around on the tyres. So big slide there from the Bentley.
Yeah, and it's so exciting to see them race. Like I said, they took shifts overnight to replace that engine and make sure it was all fettled. And through goes the Bentley, and Vuticorn makes the place.
It's not over yet.
Not quite. Thought he had it for a moment, but he hasn't quite pulled it off. Now, he may have another chance down the main straight. I think his best move now would be just to tuck himself up behind the Ferrari, and he's doing just that as they come through this long right-hander and onto the main straight again. Surely the overtake will come now. Big grunt from the Bentley as he gets out of shape, and down the front straight they come.
He's going to pull out of the slipstream. He's going to go to the inside.
Good defensive driving, though.
There he goes.
And that's great driving by the Ferrari. Will not let him by. And the Ferrari looks tiny in comparison to the Bentley.
Yeah.
Ominously behind him at the moment as they head down that back straight. Next opportunity is the right-hander, just down to 60k towards there, and a top speed now of 255k.
Toiber and Bakhti doing the best job he can to keep that big Bentley behind him, of course. Driving very defensively, takes the inside line again, and the Bentley just can't find a way through. It's definitely stronger on acceleration out of the corners, Jonathan.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, and he probably had more grip as well because they would have lots of new tyres left. I wouldn't be surprised to see them. Up the inside, he tries again.
No, doesn't quite do it. Down to 60k again now in second gear as they push each other, but a slide again, loses pace for the Bentley. He's doing everything in his armour to try to get past that Ferrari, but this is a great drive so far from Todd Pitty.
That Bentley team, of course, because they haven't done a lot of miles here, we might see them do a pit stop and put a whole set of brand new tyres on for their second stint. So that, you've got to keep that in mind. That's going to help them. Not many other people will have as many tyres left as them, so that we could see them finish further up than 6.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing Andrew Palmer. He was well excited before the weekend started, and now he's in a great position because I think that as they come towards the pit window, which is now just 3.5 minutes away, that they'll get one more lap in, and I think he'll get past the Ferrari and hand it over to Palmer, and he'll be in a good position to go for a possible podium, if not a top 5 position finish. So this is going to be a cracking race too here from Korea. You're watching live pictures from GT Asia.
It's very loose in the rear, that number.
There's no question. And Lamborghini and Ferrari go at it at turn 1. Can the 55 come alongside the 488? And he does so. The Hurricane is in a hurry, and away he goes. Now, can the Ferrari come back at him? I don't think he can.
Well, that was a great move by Amici. Just slipped up the inside beautifully. Didn't leave anywhere for the 488 to go. And Edward Liberati, of course, will be taking over any minute from his teammate.
Well, that was a nice volley. He's a Lazio fan from Rome. He says that's the best team in the world. He said smilingly yesterday. But that was a beautiful overtake, as you say, and the young Italian from Rome goes past the Ferrari.
Of course, Rizzo and Lou, they're used to winning here, aren't they? They've won here so many times in the past. A brand new car for them, though, with that 488 Ferrari, still learning.
It's going to be interesting to see how the second stint goes for Lamborghini.
I think it's going to go well. I think, obviously, Eduardo had a lot of pace yesterday, but at the start he just let the blood boil and he just made too many mistakes. But he's going to have some clear track out there this time, so I think that they're going to be a very strong combination come the end of this 1 hour race.
Liberati in the car next as this battle between Audi and Porsche rages on. Current championship winner Darrell Young about to get in the car from the 91, so his new teammate Toy doing a very good job, Benabakti, of holding off the Audi and hopefully bringing it home cleanly.
Of course, yeah, he hasn't had a lot of experience either in this class. Good overtaking manoeuvre there by him, though. On the number 13 of Jingzhou, of course. Jingzhou fights back, though. It's never as easy as you might think, Jonathan, this GT3 racing.
You can't watch every battle, and of course, when we see the replays, we then see how close these two have been at it throughout there. We've seen several replays now of them overtaking each other several times, and it's been a great battle.
Of course, the battles will change too as the tyre wear comes into play. Of course, the first 8 laps, you have the natural lead, and look, we've got another passer there.
Yeah, the Bentley's got through finally, and now we're getting down towards that pit window. And
most consistent man out there, as you would expect, Sawa. He's already got a beautiful 12.5 second lead. He's still lapping in the consistent low 208s, 208.3 for him. Liberati and Amici in the car at the moment, 208.9. And Rizzo and Lou, of course, Lou in the car. They're having all sorts of troubles and battles out there with a 212. Lee has just done his fastest lap of the race at a 209.
Yep, we're less than 30 seconds away now from the pit window opening, and that means you will see cars coming into the pit lane and going for their stops. And that's when this whole thing really gets interesting here in GT Asia. Everybody going hell-bent for leather as fast as they can to try to create a situation where the big boys will take over, and then we'll have an almighty battle, I hope, between the likes of Venter and Liberati, trying to save his blushes from yesterday. Davide Rizzo, always fast here at Korea and a winner 3 times already. And Thong will get in the car, and looking forward to seeing how he drives. He drove superbly yesterday in his first ever GT Asia stint, and now he's got a chance to do it again. And then there's Andrew Palmer. He'll too be taken to the track for the first time in anger, and really looking forward to see what he can do. And so there's a lot of hungry men in. Here comes the first pit stop, and it is Richard Lyons about to get in and put a show on for us as Frank Yu, the owner, gets out of the car.
Yeah, great. Just you can see all the things they check as they get in the net. You can see the red lever there. That's the safety net that they have to plug in. There's a lot more.
That's been a situation, hasn't it?
It has. I mean, you've got to make sure it doesn't get tangled up. And it's sometimes that you can lose time in the pits because of that. Checking the tyres, adjusting the pressures. They're not doing a tyre change on the Porsche. They're probably down to their last set. But everything else seems to be okay at the moment. The big thing, though, is to make sure that these tyres, as they're really hot now, get them to the right pressure.
Yeah, you were talking to Trevor Schumacher from Michelin yesterday about just that, about exactly how to get those tyres up to temperature as you change, as you go out of the pits again.
Absolutely. And there's Amici getting out of the car. What you have to do, Jonathan, is you have to basically put a lot of heat into the brakes, and that will transfer through the rims and get to the inside. Of course, the pressure that these things like to run when they're hot is about 1.9 bar. And when they're hot like that, Jonathan, they're very stable. But if you let the tyres deflate, then it's very easy to pick up a puncture or something like that. And the way that you let them deflate, of course, is behind the safety car or in the first 1 or 2 laps of the race. Everybody coming into the pits now for the driver changes.
Yes, the Ferrari, the number 12 Ferrari comes in. Carlo Van Dam will take over. The Dutchman with so much experience here in Asia. Raced in Japan for a long time in Super GT, and looking forward to seeing what he can do around this circuit.
You can see that some of the guys are changing tyres. They're the ones that have conserved tyres for this race. They're put, although they don't look new, you look at them and go, well, why aren't they putting new tyres on? What some of the guys do is they just do 1 or 2 laps to road the tyres in. What that means, Jonathan, is it's you don't have that absolute performance, but it does make them give a more stable performance over a longer period of time. So they do 1 or 2 laps on it, then they throw it in.
Alex Young gets in the Audi. Yeah, we were talking to Trevor about that too from Michelin, and saying that effectively this SL9 tyre is an endurance tyre, so it will last the race regardless. But some cars are a little heavier on attrition in terms of the tyres, and others aren't. Here comes your leader. Will he pit now?
And there's one of those cars. Of course, the Bentley has got so much torque.
No. Sauer stays out.
Yeah, he's going to stay out. Well, he's doing the pace that he is. Like, he's still in the 208s, the only man. He's just done 208.5. He needs to stay out there. He's in the groove. Everything's going nice. He'll probably stay out there as long as he can. Of course, best time for him, 208.1. So a variation of 0.3 over the last 13 laps is incredible by him.
Second place comes in. Anthony Liu comes into the pits in the 488 Ferrari. And Davide Rizzo will be waiting to take over the reins. Out comes Alex Young. Excuse me, that's the number 13, of Frank Chen coming out. Young's already gone out in the Audi.
A new set of tyres going, an absolute green set of tyres going on now on the number 37 machine there for Davide Rizzo as he gets into the car. Of course, remember, and we've said it before, but these guys do know how to win at this circuit.
Anthony Liu was disappointed at the press conference yesterday. Wants more speed, but he's a typical racing driver. He just isn't happy until he's happy, if you know what I mean. Until he sees himself on the top of that podium and that Ferrari winning, he has never a smile on his face. He's fun to watch, actually, because he kind of just says it like it is, calls it as it is, and yesterday he just wasn't happy with the pace of the Ferrari, but he's just put in an excellent stint as the Ferrari.
We just saw John Oventa there before. Oh,
and
nice.
Getting through the back markers. Sauer pushing as hard as he can now in the closing stages before he finishes that stint. I think he's going to be coming in for, he might do one more lap though, he's certainly got the time.
John Oventa was just in the pits before. We saw him with his helmet on, standing there, getting ready to come in. I'm sure he wants to get out in that car and have a bit of a go. We're halfway through the race now, Jonathan.
Yep, we are, and as you can see, everybody shuffling through the pit stops, and this is a critical part of the race as the field will shuffle through, and in about 5 minutes' time, we'll get an understanding of who is where and how this race will unfold in terms of the gap. So we'll keep you up to date with that as soon as we know it. Does the
He's
Bentley
in.
come in? Yes, he does. And in comes the race 1 winning number 8.
Got to be so careful when you come into that pit lane, of course. There's a 60-kilometre speed limit right there. He cannot go over 60 k's an hour. If he does, he will get a drive-through penalty.
Comes to a stop. The Bentley are immaculate at their pit stops. Watch the mechanics go to work. Venter, right-hand drive, remember? The only one.
Well,
I always think about that when they get in.
Jonathan Ventnor, he's used to the right-hand drive, of course.
He's an Aussie.
Of course he is.
So the battles continue as Rizzo already embroiled with the Lamborghini.
Probably not the first battle that he would like to be
Probably
embroiled
not,
with.
no.
The Liberati there. But look at him, he's not gun-shy as Liberati. He's already having a go on Davide Rizzo there.
Yep, 2 Italians going at it in 2 very different Italian cars. The battle for 3rd place now. Davide Rizzo and Eduardo.
And he's made the move up the inside.
Side by side up the hill.
Good move there. Nice and clean by Eduardo Liberati.
Very nicely done by Liberati. And now he's showing his true skills here. And saving those blushes, so to speak. He was very crestfallen yesterday. I felt for him because he's a super kid. And he had to do interview after interview and question after question as to how he'd messed up. But he was very, very polite, I may add.
You can just see the Ferrari moving around. Remember that Davide Rizzo put on a brand new set of cold green slicks, and that didn't help his cause in that little battle. Made it a little bit easier for Eduardo to get past.
Well, this must be agonizingly long for Jonathan, just watching that board as they time it to perfection. They've got to do it, though, because they've got that success. How many seconds? 12?
Well, when you win the first race, you get a 12-second penalty. And because they're a silver-silver combination...
Even worse.
They get another 12-second penalty.
So 24 seconds,
24
and that's why they were pushing as hard as they were.
Absolutely.
Here comes the Porsche.
Richard Lyons into turn 1.
And he's going to shuttle out just behind the... Oh! Almost, or could be banging into.
That was the Delango
the
car.
Gallardo, yeah. As the Lamborghini gets it completely wrong. I'm not sure if they've swapped out yet to Ibrahim and Malagamua, but it
Lights
could have been
flashing.
Ibrahim's first flying lap.
Yeah, Jonathan Ventnor already flashing his lights to the Lamborghini there. Can I get through? Learning from Sauer. That's what Sauer was doing all the way through yesterday.
I know.
Wasn't it?
Keta Sauer was so fun in the press conference yesterday. He was behind his teammate effectively in the Bentley in 2nd place for quite some time, and he just flashed the lights inordinately at him. And he said he said in the press conference, I was just testing them. It was great. It's great fun. It's Keta Sauer, and he and Venter now looking for win number 2 to try to dominate the weekend here in Korea. And it would be a brilliant start for the Bentley Absolute team for an absolute shutout if they can do it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, it looks like they're in a good position at the moment because they have come out in front of Liberati and Amici and also Davide Rizzo as well. So good manoeuvre there. Marchi Lee getting out of the car.
That means Thong is in. Sean Thong looking for a result out of this one. The 2 Hong Kong drivers going at it in the Audi R8 LMS GT3 for Phoenix Racing, I may add. Phoenix Racing, of course, very impressive around the world, but now in Asia as well. And very pleased to get that pole position for race 2 with Marchi. Marchi's done a good stint, but he'll be disappointed with Marchi after that poor start where he went effectively backwards while trying to defend his position. He started well, but then he just went wide at turn 1, and by the time we got to turn 3, he was in 5th place.
Yeah, but I mean, at the moment, he's still in a good position. They're well up in this race at the moment. They probably won't have to stop as long as some of the other combinations of drivers, so they will make up time on some of the teams that have had to stop for an extra 12 seconds or so due to results gained through race 1.
Well, the pit window almost finished now, and we're getting down to a position where we'll be able to tell what the exact gaps are in terms of this race finish, because we are 25 minutes to go, less than half an hour of this 1 hour. Race 2 of the first round of the GT Asia Series. We're heading to Thailand, to Buriram, and the famous, now famous because it's been around only a couple of years, but it's already had a lot of international exposure, both in touring cars, World Superbikes, and of course GT Asia. So we're looking forward to going back there. That's where the championship was won and lost, and we had a cracking finish to last year's championship. I hope we get the same again in 2016, and you'll be able to see it live right here on Fox Sports.
The gap, about 5 seconds between the Bentley and the Huracan, the new Lamborghini Huracan, just about 2 cars back there, you can see. So that's the gap from what I can see at the moment, Jonathan, between first and second in the race. Amici, of course, just behind them. And then Rizzo in the car now with the green tyres. So he's going to have more grip than everybody else. Van Dam is also in the car now. Of course, they're in the older 458.
Yeah, Carlo Van Dam, certainly one who's got another bit between his teeth. He didn't have the best approach in some ways to the weekend, and testing didn't go as well as he wanted, perhaps. And I know he's in determined mood, having spoken to him yesterday, to try and get his car and his combination right to the sharp end. But it's been Bentley so far. The Absolute team have been excellent in their preparation, and even when they are thrown a loop, having had that engine, we were surprised. We asked the question to Ingo Matter, why haven't you got a spare engine? Why did you have to fly one in, almost in hand luggage?
Yeah, I mean, the answer, good question.
He did say that, didn't he? But that's Ingo.
You know what the real reason is, though? Obviously, they've made so many cars, they've got so many of these cars racing around the world, and that they just didn't have the extras. And the engines in these things are so reliable that it was probably the last thing they expect. I think they get about 20 or 30,000 miles out of these engines, and the last thing they expected was that to happen, but it happened, and they've learnt the hard way.
Yeah, and of course, as I said earlier, they're racing these Bentley. There's 5 here in Asia. They've been racing 3 in the United States. Absolute have 2 racing themselves in the States, and of course racing all in Europe, and they've already got underway very much so in Europe as well. So yeah, it's quite a juggling act to get it all right as a factory.
Jonathan Venter, fastest last time too, with a 208.5 leads.
He's picking up where Sauer left off.
Yeah, exactly. It's just exact lap times as Sauer. So that's a very good combination of drivers there. Liberati, a 210.1 for him. And Rizzo, of course, a 209.7. Davide Rizzo in the beautiful Ferrari BBT 488 twin turbo machine.
Yes, we're going to start to see now how this shuffles down with Venter, Liberati and Rizzo, the Aussie against the 2 Italians, and there's Van Dam. He's in the battle as well, and look who's behind him. It's Palmer, Andrew Palmer in the Bentley, closing in.
Palmer has not been here before.
Nope.
In my recollection, he's done hardly any practice. He didn't even sit in the car yesterday in qualifying, missed the first race, and now he's out racing with Van Dam. That's a pretty impressive stuff for the young guy. I mean, he looks like he's not even old enough to have a license, let alone put into one of these beautiful racing GT3 cars.
I actually asked him that question, and I said, one of the interviews I did, I said, can you believe growing up when you first took your mum's car out in America for a test drive, as all young American kids did you ever think you'd be driving one of the greatest state-of-the-art GT cars in the world? He said, I know. He said, I'm still pinching myself. I'm 21 years of age, and I'm driving one of the fastest and finest cars ever made. And look at him go, too, and he's relishing it. And he's a good kid. He's fun, he's fast, and he's on it. And America needs some fast GT drivers. And Le Mans, of course, they're going back to Le Mans with Ford as a country, but now they've got young drivers as well who are capable of driving any form of mark. And Palmer definitely got his grip on the Bentley for sure. He's pushing that Ferrari around this Korea circuit right now. Surely now he'll make a move. No, he doesn't this time. He's being smart about it, that's for sure. And good defensive driving. And I'll tell you what, the hardest man in probably Asia to get past anywhere at any track will be Carlo Van Dam. They watch on. Pity watches his teammate as they are enjoying this battle just as much as we are.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible, isn't it? He's so good on the brakes in the big Bentley, and he's just trying to stick his nose in, put the pressure on Van Dam. But he's been around for a long time, Jonathan. He can handle the pressure.
I remember Carlo Van Dam coming to Macau all those years ago as a Japanese Formula 3 champion, and he was very impressive in single-seaters there, and he's gone on to a superb career in Japan in single-seaters and in GT cars and super GT cars, and now here in GT Asia. It's great to see.
Absolutely. If you can race in GT and be competitive, you can race anywhere in the world.
Yep. And this is the 7th year of GT Asia, and it just goes from strength to strength. Singer now coming on board as a partner as we look at the all-Singer car of Carlo Van Dam. But now Singer a part of the whole championship. As you can see, every car emblazoned on the windshield with the Singer logo, and we're heading to Thailand to celebrate that fact after this weekend. What a start to the 2016 championship. 2 cracking races so far, Steve Martin. This is exactly what we hoped for.
Absolutely. It's just incredible at the moment. We've got Venter and Sauer out front with not that much of a lead at the moment. In fact, Liberati has just closed the gap down, so the Lamborghini Huracan has just closed that gap down a little to Jonathan Ventnor, the Australian, out in front.
This is the battle for 5th and 6th place. The pace exactly. There's just 2/10 in terms of their pace between these two cars that you're watching on track, and it's a cracking battle. The Bentley trying every which way to get past. But of course, the wily fox that is the Dutchman, Carlo van Dam, says, "Ha, whippersnapper, you stay behind me. You got time to wait now. I'm not going to let you by. If you want to get past me, you're going to have to find a way past."
Yeah.
And what's amazing about this circuit, Steve, and we noticed it when we went out on Friday, is that there are certain places in it that look so much wider than they are on screen and TV. It looks nice and wide here, but when you get out there, it's really narrow.
Yeah, the other thing about this circuit is if you see the walls by the side of the track, it means there's a lot of blind corners. So it's one of the more difficult tracks for the drivers to learn, which is also impressive with the minimal amount of laps that Palmer's done in that car out there. It's really amazing that he's been able to, of course, stick with these guys. They did have a 2-day test session before the start of the year here, but it was wet most of the time, so not ideal to learn the circuit.
Massive disappointment for Adley Fong and his young teammate. I say young, they're both young, but Andrew Kim, the young Korean, who put on a great show yesterday. A massive, massive disappointment. It just shows you how motor racing works. One Bentley flying, another not even getting out. And what a shame. Absolute shame.
Of course, that the Van Dam car, the Singer Motorsport team, electing to run the 458 GT3 car this year, not the newer 488 with the turbocharged engine. Just they had a feeling they knew the car better, Jonathan, and they really wanted to stay with it. And sometimes doing that is the right thing to do, especially with the balance of performance. It makes all the cars level.
I just saw the back of Kurosawa as he discusses. Vutagon watching on. They both did great stints in their cars. And this battle between Ferrari and Bentley rages on here in Korea.
Liberati just did a 208.5 in the Lamborghini, and of course David Arizzo, fastest man on track with those new green tyres, a 208.1, which is equal to the fastest lap of the race so far. So David Arizzo sits 9 seconds back. He needs to find more than that if he's got a chance of winning for the 3rd time at this circuit. But the battle rages on between these two, Jonathan. Look at this, Van Dam and Piti Bhirombhakdi giving it everything they've got. These two cars, these two guys, is where the action's at in this race. And when you consider that the number 9 car started from the back of the grid, you know, they've come through, they've had to use a lot of energy to get there.
Well, Claude Van Damme makes a fair few good movies that are full of drama, but Carlo does a pretty good job himself. Got the Bentley all behind him, but he's putting on a show for us for sure, because he won't let him by, will he?
I'm not sure the action started just yet, though.
It's an action feature, that's for sure. The trouble is you get exposed on the straights. Like here, it's easy. I say to hold him off, I make it sound easy, but now this is where he gets exposed, and also with the back markers, but because the straight, the Bentley is so good, and you can see the Ferrari immediately flashes the headlights to say, please get out the way, because I've got enough trouble in my hands as it is, this big bad Bentley behind me. And again, he comes through here, and then he's got to get on the power, and the Bentley's got great torque out of the slower corners. Ferrari's quick in a straight line, no question about that. And now they've got problems, though, because the pair of them are going to come back on the Plan B car very quickly indeed, and they may be on top of him by the time they get to turn 3, and that is problems for Van Damme, and that's why he's flashing the lights. And in fact, this is the worst possible scenario, because as he exits that corner, he's going to come right out on top of him. Luckily, he was just far enough back where they should, and I say should, get past him before the next corner. But again, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. He's catching him at the absolute worst time. They just started going to the
This is it, and this is what he didn't need.
No, it's good. He's moved wide. The Plan B
he saw the lights.
He has seen the lights. Yeah, he's moved over. Of course,
Plan B got out of the way, so Plan A worked.
Exactly, and they've got radio contact back to the pits as well. So obviously, there's a lot of interaction between the pit boxes and the drivers, and they're getting the information all the time. And I'm sure there was a lot of people down in the pit saying, please, 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 tell your driver to move over. We can't afford to be slowed down. But look at that. There's a little bit of a gap opened up now. Andrew Palmer just dropping back a bit, but it doesn't take long. Doesn't take long to make it up, does it?
Yep. The Absolute Racing Bentley didn't take too long to get catch back up, that's for sure. This is a fantastic battle. 15 minutes to go. Let's hope it rages on. Carlo Van Damme doing everything in his power to keep that Ferrari ahead of the ominous side of the Bentley. Meanwhile, Sauer and Jonathan Venter at the wheel of this Bentley, the number 8 Bentley that won the first race, incidentally, yesterday, heading towards victory number 2 with 15 minutes to go.
208.1 that time round for Jonathan Ventnor. He knew that the car behind Liberati was starting to catch up, so he put the pedal to the metal. Liberati with a 208.3.
And let's just set up the gap. 7 seconds between the leaders, Venter and Liberati, and just 2 seconds between Rizzo and Liberati chasing, as here comes the Audi, the all-gold resplendent Audi of the number 5, Thong, Sean Thong, getting through on Aman Ibrahim, the young Indian.
Yeah, good drive by them too. Ibrahim did a great
Good
job.
grunt as that Gallardo down the back
has.
straight. You mentioned that to Aman today, didn't you?
Yeah, it looked good, and he did a really good lap time yesterday to Ibrahim. So, you know, the car, you know, although it's not one of the newer cars, Jonathan, once again, this balance of performance comes into play, and it still makes a car like that competitive.
Now, this is going to get interesting, because with 14 minutes to go, this battle is surely going to catch up with the battle in front of the 2 slower cars. At least the good chance that the Gallardo will be embroiled in this battle too at some point, i.e. in the way of this battle. So it's coming down to a cracking finish to this, but it is the Bentley of Venter and Sauer that lead the way. Then it's the all-new Hurricane of Liberati and Amici.
Yeah, these drivers, they have to be very careful. Andrew Palmer, he needs to try and conserve his brakes.
Oh! Ooh, just a great driving there, because he must have... just as I said he was going to get embroiled in the battle, out goes the 24. The Delango Racing from Sri Lanka has stalled or had some sort of problem, but the big moment there for the Bentley, he must have breathed heavily as he caught that.
Yeah, he might be dialing the traction control on just one more click, I think, after that.
Yeah, might need a little more.
Of course, the other thing the drivers can play with is ABS in their car as well, so that's another tool that they've got to play with, the brake bias, many different things on their minds.
Yeah, he's out.
Oh, look at that, the smoke coming from that car. Not sure what the issue is there, though. That's obviously the brakes heating up, but poor old Ibrahim, it's day over for him. Good result yesterday. They were on the podium, but not to be today.
Yep, another single-seater star from India came through the ranks of Asia. We saw him here in Motorsport Asia when he was just a boy, and he now is very much the accomplished racing driver. Raced in America, raced in Europe, and now racing here in GT. It's good to have him on board.
We saw a glimpse before of Richard Lyons, and guess who is fastest man on track at the moment? He might be in 12th position, but he's just done a 208.1. Pretty impressive time for him.
Yep, the top 4 have crossed the line. There is 14 seconds between the top 4 at the moment. And then it's Van Dam and Palmer in their continued battle. And there with the Audi, with the lights on.
Thong, of course, Sean Thong there in 4th position. That's a good result for them. I think if you said that you would get 4th in the race 2 here after the troubles they've had adapting to that car at the start of the weekend, I think they would be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I agree. So, the Bentley tries to rebuild again, and Palmer learning both the track and how to get his racecraft around and his head around beating Carlo Van Dam. No mean feat.
It's absolutely no mean feat. I mean, Van Dam's been around. He knows this circuit. He knows all the ins and outs of this circuit. He's been to Asia a lot more than Palmer has, and Palmer is doing an incredible job.
So everybody watching on, a quick wave there. Everybody getting the live coverage as well. So everybody tuning in. Hello! That's the Thais watching on, getting ready for their race, of course. And Anthony Liu will be in action in Thailand in a few weeks' time. He's done his stint, and you can see the stoic face watching on as he watches his teammate Rizzo heading towards the podium. He might crack a smile if he makes the podium. Who knows? We live in hope.
This is the battle of the race, though. It rages on between the car number 12, the 458 Ferrari, and, of course, the Bentley of Andrew Palmer in the background there at the moment. You can just see the different parts of the circuit where the Bentley's strong, like through this first part of the circuit, Jonathan. It's, you know, the Ferrari does with the ground force a little bit more mid-corner speed, but then the Bentley gets it back under brakes and a little bit more acceleration out of the corners.
You know, it's incredible watching this. You know, Venter just, the pace that he and Sauer have been able to maintain throughout this race. 2:08.7 again last time. The Bentley you're watching at the moment, Palmer, 2:09. But he's in a battle, of course, with this Ferrari. But even so, to be that impressive by Venter is really good and consistent.
Well, he did actually sneak in a couple of laps ago a 2:07.7, the fastest lap of the race. I think the team might have been on the radio saying, okay, take it easy.
Well, these two have upped the pace again. The battle we're watching, they both did their fastest laps of the race, a 2:08.4 and a 2:08.5 from Palmer. So these two are absolutely on it. And just ahead of them is Thong.
Yeah, we need to keep an eye on that gap too. That gap to Thong is 8 seconds, so it's not out of the question that if Thong doesn't speed up, he's going to come into the wrath of these two cars.
Out of 3. Oh, it's slightly wide again. The Bentley losing time again, and that just plays into the hands of Carlo Van Dam, who'll look in his mirrors and smile, that Dutch smile again.
Yeah, that gap's opened up now. That was definitely a mistake by Palmer there, but nevertheless, carries more mid-corner speed into that one, into turn 4.
Yeah, this particular section, we were talking to some of the engineers as there's the Park Gallardo. Kanazawa watching on rather pensively.
He's happy,
He was
though.
hilarious in the press conference yesterday, wasn't he?
Yeah, he certainly was.
He was flashing.
There's his
Yeah,
thumb,
there's
look.
the thumb. There's the thumb. And why we're laughing at that is if you didn't see the first race, Kanazawa spent most of the first race literally using that left thumb to flash his headlights at the car in front of him. And he was drawn on it in the press conference. And he said, I was just testing them out to see if they worked.
Well, they certainly work because they got an emphatic victory in race 1, and looks like they're on the way to do it again in race 2, Jonathan.
This has been another immaculate performance by Bentley, and it's rather ominous too because a fully fit Jonathan Venter, we haven't really talked about this, but this has been an emotional weekend for Venter and Kanazawa. Sauer has been Mr. Consistent. He won last year in Japan in a very emotional way at his home race. But both this combination of Venter and Sauer are meaning business this year. This is really, hopefully they think their year. Absolutely,
They've definitely got something to prove this year. Of course, Venter was in the series last year, of course, under a different colour scheme with the VLT car. Daryl O'Young, last year's champions partner, but of course he had, after 3 races, he broke his leg badly in an incident and got some titanium plates and things in his hip and was out for the rest of the season. Didn't get that ride this year, managed to get onto Bentley, and now I'm sure he's not going to make a cycling mistake this year.
Yeah, and that's what the beauty of this championship is. If you're looking at these names and thinking, well, these aren't all Asian names, and we've mentioned the Italians, Ventnor, of course, from Australia, but that's been the way this series has developed. We've got the very best creme de la creme of Asian GT races, but we've also got some of the finest races of GTs worldwide, and you'll see them as the season goes on. We certainly saw the likes of Tony Vielander, Jimmy Bruni racing for Ferrari. Rob Bell's been here with McLaren. I mean, these are the very, very best races in the world, and that's a testament to the organisers of GT Asia, that they can attract the very best drivers, and of course the manufacturers of these cars want these cars to win in Asia. This is the biggest market for these cars.
Absolutely. I mean, they're certainly the biggest market, Jonathan, but not only that, I mean, this is the place to be, and having all these professional drivers here, it's lifted the level of the Asian drivers as well.
Without a doubt.
The whole level of this championship is growing and growing and growing, not year by year, but race by race at the moment.
I know. I mean, the perfect example is Frank Yu, who, of course, is racing with Richard Lyons. And I put Frank on the spot, and I said, you know, hey, you must be pinching yourself how much your times have improved over the years as being part of this series and being with these professionals. And he said, without a doubt, he said, I can look at my times from Sepang when I was, you know, a little bit younger and learning the way, and there's some 20 seconds I've gained. Now, okay, the cars have developed, he's got better, and circumstances change, but even so, it just shows you how these amateur drivers can come through and really learn from the professionals. And of course, the professionals are motivated because they're teammates, and so they want their side partner, if you will, their sidekick, to be just as fast or as fast as they possibly can be.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we just saw the Interrush Porsche there with Richard Lyons. I mean, how experienced is he as a driver? And there's nothing better than to get out of the same car as somebody like Richard Lyons and being, let's say, an amateur driver and say, well, what am I doing wrong? Look at my data, help me out. And working together with that guy throughout the season, and before you know it, you're no longer an amateur, you are as a professional driver as well.
Just over 5 minutes to go in Race 2 GT Asia 2016. Jonathan Green and Steve Martin bringing you the action live here on Fox Sports. A cracking race and a cracking weekend of racing so far. Glorious sunshine here in the Korea International Circuit in Mopok, just about 400 kilometers south of Seoul, Korea. We had expected rain, but it hasn't come. We did have a little bit during the testing, but I'm glad to say it's held off for now for sure, and we're going to finish in bright sunshine, and it's going to be certainly shining on Venter, Jonathan Venter and Ketasawa of Japan. It's been a superb weekend so far for them. They really haven't put a foot wrong. Never say never, there's still 5 minutes to go, but right now they are in the zone, as they say, ahead of Liberati and Amici.
I'll tell you what, Jonathan, that battle with Van Dam and Palmer at the moment, they are catching Thong in front. There's a 6-second gap now to those guys, and they are lapping a second a lap quicker than the man in 4th place at the moment. So we need to keep an eye on that battle to see how that transpires as well.
So with an average lap time of 2:08, we've got just a couple of laps to go with 4 minutes and 33 seconds to go. The gaps look like this. Venter, 9 seconds, 9.5 seconds ahead of Liberati. That's fairly safe. 4 seconds behind him is Rizzo. And as you say, the gap closing between Thong and Van Dam as Palmer chases him down.
The other thing to consider, Jonathan, it's not over until it's over. This car yesterday, the leading car at the moment, believe it or not, did have a failure in the last couple of laps. The, what was it, the steering, the power steering broke, or the ABS, the ABS broke on the car. So they're not infallible, especially when you're driving them on the limit like they are. So you really do need to baby the car around the track, and it's not over until it's over.
Very true, and now you can see how spread out, and the top three, we just got a nice glimpse of them down the back straight of the gaps that I just described as the AF Corsa team watch on, and so does the BBT team. The Billionaire Boys team, and aptly named, really. And are they headed for another podium? It looks that way.
It's a good result for the new Hurricane and, of course, the new 488 Ferrari. Looks like if it continues in this fashion, they will both be on the podium. So that's a really good indication of the year ahead.
I'll tell you what, the singers are on Carlo Van Dam tonight. He'll be giving them out to the team, I would have thought, because this has been a superb performance. He'll be well pleased with holding off the Bentley as long as he has. He's still got a couple of minutes to go, but so far the Bentley not able to challenge, and he's going to have to do something really special now. Possible back marker ahead of them, but right now Carlo's got this down in 5th place, and that's good points for him.
Yeah, good drive by Carlo Van Dam, just holding that off. A lot of pressure throughout the whole race. That, of course, that Bentley started from the back of the pack, the number 9 Bentley, and it's caught up to the back of this 458 Ferrari of Carlo Van Dam in the Singer-sponsored machine, of course, and he just can't find a way past. So the number 12 car, as it stands at the moment, sits in that 5th position, Jonathan.
2 minutes just over to go. Cracking finish to this one. This battle for 5th place has raged on for almost half an hour now. And that is intense when you are on it like this. You know, you're going through 2.5 Gs throughout a lot of the corners here. You're really physically putting yourself through a lot of pressure, and mechanically, of course, each of the cars.
Absolutely, not to mention the amount of strength and physical strength you need to steer these cars, and then also the braking pressure that you put on your leg. They really are a difficult thing to drive for this amount of time.
So then, we are coming down to the last lap. Here comes the Bentley, the number 8 Bentley of Jonathan Venter and Ketasawa. Sauer did a superb first stint, and then Venter got in the car, and he has looked exactly the same in terms of time and accomplishment so far on this career track. And the pair of them have been faultless.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot think of them even putting a wheel out of place.
Not really.
Nope.
Very, very few mistakes in both practice and in the races.
One mistake at the start of race 1 yesterday when they ran wide into turn 1, allowed Richard Lyons to go through. But apart from that, look, he's already taken the selfie.
He's already taken the selfies. Ketasawa, absolutely, he's going to take a picture of us. Well, we're watching you, my friend, too. And Sauer, that's how confident and that's how laid back they are at Bentley for this victory. It's Liberati in 2nd place for the all-new Hurricane Lamborghini.
I'm happy for Liberati as well. I mean, after
Yeah,
the run,
he needed to bounce back.
the run that he had yesterday, I mean, he was just so flustered and, you know, probably got offside on a lot of the other drivers. You know, he was driving erratically, and today he's proven that he can, and he does have the talent to pull himself back, Jonathan, and actually drive sensibly. He's driven sensibly in that new Lamborghini, and he's been able to, you know, get a good podium.
Coming down then to the last 30 seconds, Kurosawa is on the wall and ready to greet his teammate, Jonathan Venter of Australia. It's been an immaculate performance. He flashes the lights as he comes out of the last corner. The last lap board is out. He came very close to finishing the race.
One lap to
Kurosawa
go.
celebrations were a little bit premature. He's got one more lap to go. They probably weren't expecting that. Now they've got to put all the stress on again because he's got to do another full lap. I thought that for a second. I thought, well, there's still 12 seconds to get
Yeah,
down
he missed
here.
it. He missed it. He could have slowed down a bit, and it would have been okay. But he missed that.
He's got the selfies
opportunity.
down, but he may not have the timing down just yet.
Meanwhile, that gap has come down.
Whoa! And now goes the Porsche up in smoke.
It's a rear tyre.
Yeah, he's got a puncture on the rear tyre. So, yeah, you cannot count your eggs. And I'll tell you what, that'll give him a bit of a nervous moment for Jonathan Venter, because he knows now that that could happen to anybody out there.
Absolutely.
And the Porsche was not in a situation of a crash or anything. I think that is just a puncture.
Yeah, I would say so. He's still moving. If it was an engine failure with that much smoke, he'd be off the side of the track. But it looks like the right rear has picked up some sort of debris. We did see earlier in the race one of the Audis lose a little bit of debris around that part of the circuit. So it is a possibility, Jonathan.
Kurosawa, of course, was second in the championship, equal with Adelie Fong last year. And
oh, look at that.
Oh, what a shame.
It
The
almost
Interrush
looks like
Porsche.
the right rear wheel. Is it?
I think it's a puncture.
Yeah. There's a lot of camber on that rear right.
Well, I think maybe the rubber coming off it once it's punctured, it may look as though it's camber, but it's just rubber actually. But yep, it's been a perfect weekend for the return to racing for Jonathan Venter. Now he's getting nervous. You see, he was all cock-a-hoop before.
Yeah.
And now Sauer's starting to feel the nerves. We may not get the selfie again. And he passes the Group M car.
Gee, there's a problem with
of
them.
Sugden and Marr. Philip Marr and Tim Sugden coming to a finish prematurely as well. Back in the series were Group M. But now we're getting down to the final two corners. And now the Bentley can perhaps relax. Just one more corner to go. Kurosawa, the nerves starting to show as he comes out of the right hand. Now the flash of the lights as the big, bad Bentley means business and wins in Korea. Roll on, Buriram, because Bentley have taken Korea and GT Asia by storm this weekend. What a way to start their 2016 campaign. And what a story. Adelie Fong doesn't get the start. The other team who won the first race get to win both races. And Andrew Palmer, who didn't get to do the first race, finishes in, what, 6th place after pushing Van Dam all the way. Liberati takes 2nd place for the all-new Huracan, and they start their campaign on a high after what was a disaster yesterday. So Liberati and Amici, experienced drivers, even though youngsters, for the Lamborghini team, have put them on the map without a doubt with the new Huracan. And Rizzo and Liu are normal service resumed in the number 37. There is Anthony Liu as they hit the podium again. No smile yet, but we'll get one out of Anthony before the day is done. Thong and Lee take 4th position. That'll be disappointment for Marchie Lee, because I know he had high hopes after that pole position for race 2, but sadly the start didn't go as well for Marchie as he'd hoped. Thong put in his stint, but it was good enough for 4th place. They stayed ahead of Van Dam, and perhaps the drive of the day in many ways, Carlo Van Dam taking 5th place. He, Piti Bhirombhakdi, holding off Palmer and Vutikorn of Thailand. And with so many great Thai performances here, we look forward to round 2, Steve. And boy, I'm rubbing my hands in anticipation. We have a championship on our hand.
Yeah, we certainly do. It was a fabulous drive by all the drivers out there. Lots of different stories to talk about and news to catch up on as to see what the stories of the race were. But, I mean, there's so many things that we can talk about. For me, Jonathan, the driver of the race was the young Andrew Palmer. I mean, he came from the back of the field, and you know, that number 9 car, that team really performed well under pressure. So Bentley not only winning the race, but bringing a car from the back of the field through as well. Alex Young, another good driver that rode well. There's Ibrahim. His Delango Lamborghini Gallardo didn't make it to the finish.
Here's the result then. Venter and Sauer in the Bentley win the second race of the season. Liberati and Amici with the Lamborghini in second. Then it's Ferrari third. And look at that. The top 4, all different marks. Audi in fourth with Thong and Lee. And Rizzo and Liu in third. And then another Ferrari, that of Van Dam. The older Ferrari taking 5th place. And then the Bentley of Palmer in 6th place. Ahead of Young and Au in 7th. Oh Young, our champion, with Toy Berabakti in 8th position. And further down, we saw Tim Sugden slowing down. He and Philip Marr, a disappointing weekend, but a return all the same to Asia. They will be back and competitive, I'm sure. Ingo Mata greets his team and his drivers with glee. The German who has been a stalwart of this series. Fabian likewise giving him a big hug. And this is all smiles for Bentley. But it's been an emotional roller coaster for the Bentley team, for sure. I mean, flying engines in from Silverstone, losing a car at the start of race 2. Great performances by the youngsters, but an immaculate performance by what it seems to be the ultimate combination of Venter, a fully fit Venter, and a very focused finger on the lights Sauer.
It all looked smooth from the outside, didn't it? But there was a lot of backstories in that pit, as you said, throughout the weekend. But the team worked professionally through. The other 2 teams that did well deserve to be on the podium. These 2 teams, of course, the BBT, brand new 488 Ferrari.
So as they take the helmets off, let's head down to the pit lane and hear from our winners.
Johnny Venter, that was an amazing run. You look like you've done hard work. The time's fantastic.
Yeah, no, look, all credit to the boys at Team Absolute. They've been amazing the whole week. The car is like perfect. The Bentley's been amazing. Sauer-san had a fantastic start in the race, and we just managed to maintain the gap in the front.
Sauer-san, how important was that opening stint of yours?
Yeah, I guess something happened to turn 1 at the start because everyone is almost professional, all of us. So, but I'm scared, so I was taking back off first to manage to exit for turn 1. So that is correct. Then after that, I tried to manage to my stint, try to make a gap as much as possible. When I come into the pit, almost 12-second gap. So this is the reason why we can win race. Two times in a row. Fantastic. Very super.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Kurosawa, he's like a 10-year-old kid. He's so fun, enjoying every moment. Here's some of the highlights of what we've just seen. But what a cracking start, Steve Martin, to the year. And what a year ahead we've got in GT Asia. If this is what they're going to supply to us every weekend of racing, superb stuff.
Oh, it's only going to get closer and closer and closer as these guys get more experience with their machines and get hungrier. And, of course, every race that we get into the championship, Jonathan, we get closer to who the driver's champion and who, more importantly, the team's champion is going to be.
Yeah, we've had Bentley, of course, won this championship last year. But, of course, Aston Martin and Darlow Young won the Drivers' Championship, but Bentley have started just as they finished. And this has been an immaculate performance, and Kurosawa's words say it all. And in terms of how it stands after 2 rounds, it looks like this. Jonathan Venter of Australia with 36 points, he and Kurosawa. And Rizzo and Liu with 28 points now in the Ferrari. Then on 19, Sean Thong Wei Fung and Ma Chi Lee. Carlo Van Dam with 19 as well. Pidit Birambakti as well up in the 8th position. And Liberati there in 9th. And obviously, Amici not getting to drive in the first race. And a little further down, point scores also down the board. Alex Young and the new Audi, will they show? Amici did get 16 after that performance in race 2. And Darlow Young, our current champion. Wow. How about that for a weekend? He would not have expected to leave Korea as the champion defender and all the way down the board. So, an incredible weekend of racing. Steve, your thoughts?
Wow, I'm just amazed at the quality of the field. I'm amazed at the closeness of the racing. I'm amazed at the quality of the machinery. It really is just such a pleasure to be here, to be up close, being able to look at these cars. And I'll tell you what, if you can get yourself to Burham and have a bit of a look in person.
Here comes the selfie. Ken is getting there.
He's on it, isn't he?
He's absolutely. Who says the Japanese don't take lots of pictures? I love it. I honestly, I could follow Kurosawa around the world wherever he races. He's just so much fun. Look at that joy on his face. You heard him in the interview. He's just brilliant. Liberati and Amici, they have arrived in Asia, although they've already accomplished a lot in their racing careers, young as they are, especially Liberati. He's already an Asian champion. But they've come with the new Lamborghini and they've come to play. But they're going to have their work cut out against the two Bentleys, or three Bentleys when it comes to it. Ferrari will be in there too. Great to see Venter back to full form. Kurosawa, we never doubt. And Antonelli and Davide Rizzo, they may not look as ecstatic as those two alongside them, but don't be fooled. That Ferrari combination with the all-new 488 will be a factor. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens at Buriram in Thailand. That's the next race. It's going to be interesting to see the temperatures go up, how the turbochargers will go on, how the new cars will deal with the new circuit. Steve, great weekend.
Oh, it's been fantastic, Jonathan. As you say, I think we're going to see a completely different mix of a podium next time out because of all of the factors that you said, Jonathan, and plus the balance of performance will probably change a little bit and things will even out as we go to a different track. Different cars suit different circuits.
Well, don't forget, it's June 10th to the 12th, Chang International Circuit in Thailand, and then we head to Okayama and Fuji in Japan, Shanghai and Zhejiang in China for the all-new race on the 21st to the 23rd of October. A fantastic series ahead of GT Asia, and you can watch it all here live on Fox Sports. My thanks to Steve Martin. I'm Jonathan Green. Join us next time out in Thailand.